This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, I'm here with a video showing you how I created the top for my ATLA cosplay. And to start off, I created a pattern. I did this by tracing around a shirt or a crop top that I really liked how it had fit me, and I really liked the shape of it. Obviously this top isn't exactly like hers, so I did have to alter it quite a bit. If you want to skip all this patterning stuff, I do have the patterns available on my store, Envy and Etsy. Once all the patterns were done, I cut that out onto the fabric that I'd be using, which is this type of like cotton stretch fabric. And I skipped making a mock-up for this because I find that when I'm working with stretch fabrics, it has a lot more leeway to alter and change things, and I typically don't really bother making a mock-up unless it's a bodysuit, only because it's so easy to alter or be allowed to make a mistake when working with this kind of fabric, just because it is so stretchy. So I'm never off enough where it doesn't fit to like an extreme amount. If it's a little bit too small, it's fine because it stretches, and if it's a little bit too big, I can just take it in.
Cutting my skin, but it's hard because I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling. Falling, falling, falling,
Once everything was cut out, I started sewing everything together. To sew this fabric, I did use a zigzag stitch, and I started off by sewing the body part of the top together first. So I sewed the back seam together, and then I sewed the sides of the front and back together. Then I pinned the sleeves together and sewed those closed.
oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling. I'm falling.
Because this fabric is a little bit more floppy and I wanted the collar to have a little bit more sturdiness to it, although I didn't really want to add interfacing because then it would lose its like stretch, I decided to just double up the layers on that. So I pinned 2 layers of the same cut of fabric, like the same pattern of fabric together with the right sides together, sewed that together, then attached that middle seam for both pieces of the collar together, and then flipped it inside out so that all the stitching was on the inside, and then attached that to the shirt so that it was obviously right side out and the seams were hidden, just so that it would have a little bit more sturdiness to it and sit up a little better, like more properly, I guess. I also attached the sleeves to the top after this and sewed those together, again using a zigzag stitch, and then I sewed the collar onto the top as well after this, again using a zigzag stitch.
started to fall, and where were you? How could I know you were falling too? Grabbing the wind, cutting my skin, but it's hard because I'm falling. Tell me why.
So here is me pinning the collar to the top. I just did this the way that I pin like everything together, where I place like the right sides of the fabric together and pin. However, if you want it to look more fancy or possibly sit up even more properly, you can pin it so that you fold over the bottom hem of the collar and then place that on either side of the shirt instead of just having to like flip it inside out, so that you don't see a seam there basically, because on mine you can see the seam if you flip it inside out where the collar attaches to the shirt. However, if you do it the way I said, where you flip the hem inward and then you pin it on either side of the shirt fabric, it looks nice and neat on both sides. After that, I rolled over the hem on all of the raw edges of the shirt, so the bottom of the sleeves and the bottom of the shirt, and then sewed that down. I used a zigzag stitch to sew this down. However, I know you can make like a nicer seam line if you use a certain type of stitch on a serger. It's the kind of hemlines that you see on t-shirts. Once that was sewn, I finished up the shirt by ironing it so that all the seams were pressed and they looked really nice and clean. Things just always look better after you iron them, and that's pretty much it. That finishes up the shirt. It's a really easy, simple shirt, and I was really happy with the way it turned out. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do want to see the final product, I have posted pictures on my Instagram page where you can check those out there, and I have a gallery page on my website as well where I will have photos up. So yeah, hopefully you guys found this video helpful, enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, have a lovely day, stick around for more tutorials and such, and bye!